Thank you. Hello, everyone. I don't know how you are surviving this first heat Belgrade, but I'm suffering big time. You can hear it probably in my voice. So I am Serbian, but I live abroad for some years, and these guys, they're crazy. I mean, you've seen it yourself. So, I mean, huge kudos to the organizers for doing this for the first time, and I'm super happy to be, and honored to be part of this. So, today we are a bit stealing the show, right? Sebastian was talking um, about the marketplace, and probably you will see a few same slides that I stole from him, so thank you, Sebastian, for that. As it was announced, I would like to talk about, like trust in digital identity, but focus a bit on the KYC and the proof of uniqueness, and I will explain why. What we are trying to do, right? We want to explain to all of you guys that it's not that complex to build stuff with our tech. I mean, the feedback that we are getting from one hackathon to another, from one conference to another, is that people are just they get lost in the process. They take like the full day to just set up the system, and that's for a hackathon that is like 48 hours. That's just not cool, right? So I'll try to just lean on a bit to this and explain. But first, let's start for some like well, first is a disclaimer, right? So this is an homage for my dev team. They we adore Pepe as a gift, not none else connection with the coin or anything else. So there will be a few Pepes, and I hope you will enjoy them as much as we do. So self-sovereign identity, right? SESCI as a solution, but I don't want to go like too much in going like very wide and explaining like things that probably have been explained too many times already. But what we are trying to solve, right? To switch from account-based credentials, and Sebastian was mentioning, you know, like federalized identities, login with Google, login with Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. You don't own that, right? They can shut down, they can cancel your Google account, and you are out of everything that you had access to. But not also then you don't own that, you cannot earn from that. So they are earning from stuff that is yours, that they own in your name, and God knows what they can do with that. We all know, like, you know, black market of private data. So what we are building is technology for our users to have an ability to manage their identity and to own it. And then the data lives in the issuer CRM, because of course somebody needs to issue a credential, and in the wallet of the user. But it doesn't leave the wallet of the user. I'll go to that later on. It's based on the public key infrastructure, private, portable, reusable. Let's go. I'm just going to run through these that have a lot of text. I left it there for people that would be just taking on the presentation and checking it and home with like popcorns. I know that you will do this. So it's based on the ZK technology, CIRCOM, IDEN3, all these things that lay below and that are like part of the ZK EVM tech stack. And actually, CIRCOM is practically becoming like some sort of standard, right, for the ZK. So everything that is built in the Polygon ID lies on this like very solid and very like big foundations. I would dare to say that. There is something which we call ZK query language, which we build for the verifications, right? So there's like a simple language for a verifier to build a query to ask something from a user. I'll go to that later on. Open source, everything is open source. Sebastian already said, like a few months ago, we shifted to MIT and Apache. You can build whatever you want on top of this, so please do that. It's based on the standardized DID, VC, and on-chain verification. I'll go back to that later on. So main benefits. interacting directly with the smart contracts, and this is something that I will try to highlight during the presentation at the end. What you can do: passwordless login, reusable KYC, proof of uniqueness, any kind of onboarding. I mean, if you've been here in the morning, you heard a bunch of these things from Sebastian, and I mean, we are just talking one and the same things like all the time. But I want to come to, yeah, the PDF doesn't. The PDF loves me, but the PPTH doesn't love me, as you can see here. So we want to build trust and to enable the users that they can prove that they are humans, that they are unique within a given context, that they are compliant, that they can reuse this compliancy, reputed and trustworthy. To build what, right? Like the ultra big goal would be digital democracy. Let's go step by step. Civil proof protocols and dApps, reputation, passwordless login, I'm just repeating. But this is builder stage, right? So, how do I build? Well, we have somebody like this, right? Our tooling is practically covering all these three aspects of this trust triangle, as it is called. So you have, on one side, you have the issuer, which is an entity that is issuing a credential to a holder that is keeping this credential, and based on that, creating zero-knowledge proof for the queries that come from the verifier. So we have the issuer node, self-hosted by yourselves, right? Which is a source of trust. We are offering native SDK and web SDK for the wallet holder integrations, and then the verifier SDK on the side that is consuming the credentials. So yeah, that's so nice. It's after lunch. I need to check if, I mean, I see like a few people already sleeping, but let's continue. What's there? I mean, in bit more details. So for the wallets, there is a Flutter SDK repo. We released just a few days ago an Android wrapper on top of that, a native wrapper. We are going to be working on the iOS and React Native in like near future. And on the other side, for the web-based wallets, there is a JavaScript SDK. So with this, we have an idea to cover like most of the possible like holder integrations. On the other side, there is the issuer node. Of course, at the end of presentation, there will be a QR code for the GitHub, but just put Polygon ID on GitHub, and you will find our organization with all these repos. And then on the verification side, which I want to focus a bit, there is off-chain with the library that you can implement yourself, and then the on-chain, which is a bit maybe more interesting for the Web3 world, which gives you an ability to interact directly with the smart contract. So I will have just go through like a few steps later on how you can do this and issue yourself or somebody else an ERC token, for example. It's super simple. I don't want to go like in a lot of details here. Sorry, it's like crazy Serbian rakia, right? The issuer node has the API, which you can use as just the API. There's also a UI on top of that, facilitating, but it has like completely the same features. And all this is in one big Docker container, plug and play, right? We try to do this. There is Redis, there is Postgre, there is HashiCorp Vault, but the point is that what you need to use, let's say as is the issuer node API. All these other components you can replace with what you want, with what you use. So you don't need to use the HashiCorp. You can use another thing if it's for you. But the ownership is on, let's say, on your side as developers, as people that are implementing this. And then to publish the identity state, any kind of node. Okay. On the verifier, there is a library which you just integrate in your API or however the business logic is, right? I'll just highlight something here. The challenge for us, and this is where we are struggling a lot, is that we are trying to build a tech for everything in identity, right? We are not focused on a niche. And that's, as you can imagine, a challenge. And then, you need to, it's like a French key, right? You need to have like super modal tools that can cover all the possible use cases that we are imagining. But what I'm trying here to tell you guys, you need to tell us, what do you need so we can adjust the tooling or build something if something is missing, because this will only work if you guys are implementing this. If not, it's just dead code sitting there. Just one thing, like very briefly, it's very important to understand, words matter here, like the proof of uniqueness, proof of personhood, proof of human. There are a lot of things that are being mentioned, and thrown out here and there. There is a blog post that we wrote some time ago that goes in a bit in more details, but it's important to understand that proof of uniqueness is not the same as the proof of personhood. And we've seen lately with the famous AI, like everyone is or hyped or scared of this, but the real problem is that the AI introduces a lot of potential vulnerabilities. So what are the threats, right? A person or a bot or the human-like AI, which we are getting closer and closer to, they may be able to demonstrate that they are human, to pass through all these like reverse Turing test and all this infra that has been built so far, which is proving very fast to be unreliable, right? And that is a Sybil attack, right? Sybil attack is that when you have one entity operating, as I know all you guys do, you have multiple accounts, right? And then you use one account to operate on something, you use another account to operate on something else. But it is, this is also a challenge, right? So you need, it all depends on what you want to build. So in some use cases, it's good that you have an option to have multiple identities, right, for yourself. But there are other use cases where you need to be like very straightforward voting, that you have like one entity interacting with the system equals one vote, not more, not less. And how it works so far is, right, all the credentials, passport, IDs, and all this stuff. But again, the same as with, like logging with Google, Facebook, or whatever, the problem is once you scan your passport or an ID and you send it somewhere, forget about it. It has been multiplied. I mean, my passport photo, God knows where it lives. I don't own it. I don't control it. I cannot revoke it. So how do we want to change this? What's the way to address this? Well, here enter the verifiable credentials. So we are using the W3C standard for verifiable credentials, and with using them and the ZK proofs, a lot of rakia, we are managing to keep the information really private. So I'll just very briefly explain how it works. I'm a holder, and I go to a DApp that I'm using regularly, and I want them to issue me a credential that I'm a daily user of this DApp. Because with this, I can go to my favorite newsletter, and if I can prove that I'm a daily user of this app, I will get like a free premium subscription, right? But I don't want them to know anything else. I just want them to have an answer to the question, am I a daily user of this app? Yes or no, not more, not less. So I can go there, I can get a credential issued to my wallet, And then when I'm interacting with my newsletter, they, based on the ZK query, they will create a question. You know, is this true, right? When I get this question, my device, and this is again something that is very important, is that we are creating zero knowledge proof on the device itself. What leaves the device is the zero knowledge proof. All the credentials, all the data, they stay at the user. But as there are a lot of use cases, not only for compliance, but there are others, where sometimes you would be, it would be necessary, or you could be like forced as a user to reveal certain part of the data as is. Okay, you need to prove me that you are older than 18, but I want to know your full name because I need this, right? So we have a feature which is called selective disclosure, where when you are creating the ZK query from the verifier side, you can say, I want the proof for this, this, and that, but this information I want raw, right, as is. Then it's for the user to accept that or not. Do they want to share the proof for the stuff that are being asked as a proof and the information raw, right? But it's the ownership, let's say, of that, the control of that is on the user side, right? Me as a user of the app, I will say, yes, I want to share this, or no, okay? So, with our technology, you can build solutions that provide the ability for a user to simply provide proof of uniqueness. For, as I said, for voting, for DAOs, for like a bunch of use cases where this is needed, right? So, what are the possible ways to handle proof of uniqueness from the, let's say, perspective of issuing credentials? And this is a sensitive topic, right? Because it's like you need to trust the issuer, and also the issuer is responsible for what kind of proof of uniqueness does it offer to the issuer. So like it's not the same, right? If I do if I issue to somebody here a credential saying, hey, you are unique, and if you can get the uniqueness credential from the government institution, right? It's not the same weight. So then on the verifier side, when you are verifying this, you would not give them the same weight. So the proof of uniqueness is a responsibility of the issuer, and we have there are few ideas how you can do this, right? You can issue a credential linked with some biometrics, with a hash of whatever, thumbprint, iris scan, or something like that. You can add some trusted hardware together, and then verify the credential, and then the hardware response. Or there is a very simple, usually there are simple answers to complicated questions. But when we were thinking about this, we said why would not the issuer just issue a unique identifier that would need to be disclosed, and then on the verifier side, I could just have a database of all these IDs, and I can just check, do I have the same there? Yes or no. But again, it all depends on the level of security that you need, right? This is how deep you want to go. So, are Polygon ID ZK proofs stored on chain? No. Can you verify them on chain? Yes, and Pepe is verifying this. So how does the verification work, the consuming of the proof? I already mentioned that there is this ZK query language where you define what you want to verify. Or better said, what will be the zero knowledge proof that you are going to receive, right? Because you need to verify this on the other end. And I will, again, highlight that there is an off-chain which happens inside the script that you set up as a verifier in your app, or direct interaction with the smart contract for the on-chain verification. So what about the KYC? Well, implementing from the purely technical perspective, and again, highlighting, we are offering the tech. You guys need to think about how to use this. But for the KYC, for example, from the technical perspective, is practically not very different from implementing the proof of uniqueness. And it also, again, depends on the weight of the issuer, right? Like how this issuer, what's the, who is issuing this and how trusted is this source. So we already have a few partners issuing KYC credentials. We have others that are able to issue the KYC credential based on the already adopted, like widely adopted identity verification providers, such as Onfido. So if if you were opening a bank account of a neobank, you know how this works. But what is good here that, for example, in this example, you will go through a regular KYC process, right? And the issuer will get this data. But then based on this data, the issuer will give you a credential, which you hold as a user. And then when you need to prove to your bank or whoever this is that you are trying to interact, you will only share the zero knowledge proof. So they will not see your data and they will not own your data. And theoretically, but this all depends on the ecosystem, is that this credential that you have, that you passed KYC once, you can reuse it like multiple times. You have the credential, right? So you can interact with one verifier or another or a third or a fifth and create the zero knowledge proof based on the same data. And this is like a huge cost benefit for the whole ecosystem. So what are the credentials that are available today that you can use? The few of them, you can just visit these links and go there with your Polygon ID app and see if you are satisfying the requirements to get these credentials, and just check it out, see how it works. Do I need to say more? Bear with me just a few minutes. So, an example of the airdrop, okay, in few steps. I wanted to do a video, but it didn't work. So, first one is, well, you need to issue a credential, right? So we have a demo issuer. You can go there, select. There are like multiple example claims that we are offering. There is a KYC H credential. Then with your example app that we have, which is called Polygon ID, and you have it in both Android and iOS app stores. You scan the QR code, accept a credential, and then, okay, I got a credential. That is holds the data that I'm of certain age, right? Then I go to demo verifier, and also there is like a list of examples of the queries that you can ask. So there is one called SIG on chain age, and with this you are asking, can this holder prove me on chain that the birth date is less than given here? Okay, you can of course change it and just play with this. You get a verification code from that, and then for the user would be, I just go, scan the QR code, and what happens is there's a zero knowledge proof created on your phone. It asks you to sign a transaction in the chain. You need to have some testing on this is on Mumbai, right? So you need to have some testing matting. If you need it, you can talk to me, but if you need more, there are faucets for this. And what happens? There's a smart contract which, upon receiving the zero knowledge proof and verifying that, will do an airdrop for you. So it's like a dummy ERC20 token that you receive in your wallet. So this way, you have proven that you can receive this airdrop without revealing your actual birth date. Okay, so it's just, am I able to satisfy this criteria, yes or no? But the beauty of this is this all happens instantly, and you can like automate stuff directly. So users could be practically, just by interacting with the smart contracts, receiving like, I mean, it's like, again, I'm going to go back. I don't need to imagine like the use cases for this. You guys need to imagine use cases for this. So I will be here Monday to Wednesday on the hackathon, and I would like to see as much as possible people playing with this. Find me there, reach out, and I can show you this like demo. It literally takes like 2 minutes to go through all this, and then in the code that we have on the GitHub, you have all the examples of the smart contracts and stuff. So I really invite you to just go this, play with that, and try to figure a use case. Well, again, all this cannot work if there's not an ecosystem, right? If there are no credentials offered there that users can retrieve, and if there are no verifiers that are going to be consuming the proofs of these credentials, then nothing will happen, right? As mentioned before, we have a lot of partners. We are trying to just increase this number on a daily basis. You probably, if you are following us on Twitter, sometimes we get annoying, just sharing all the time the information about new partners, but we are very keen to build this ecosystem because we strongly believe that this is the only way that all this can work and we can get some real adoption. But once more, for the last time, is for you guys to build this. We are building the tech. Polygon is not issuing any credentials on its own. Polygon is not verifying any credentials on its own. We are offering the technology for you guys to develop self-sovereign identity solutions. All the code is in the GitHub, as I said before. Verifier SDK, issuer node as a Docker container, mobile app for Flutter Android, JavaScript SDK. All this is compatible with DID and verifiable credentials. And just to mention, because I haven't done it in this presentation, like apart from selective disclosure, which is like a super nice feature that we love a lot, and it's like giving a lot of opportunities for different use cases. There's also another one which is called DID profiles. And I'll explain this, and then I would like to see somebody playing with this and make up some use case for that. So what we did, we added for a holder the option to create practically infinite number of DIDs. Okay, so you have your when you create your digital identity, you get your private key, and you get your original DID, right? The master DID, the first one. But you are able, for any interaction that you are doing, to create a new one. Okay, so you as a user can have anonymity. For example, with the same issuer or with the same verifier, you can use like different profiles, and they cannot. There's no way for them to realize that this is the same entity behind the same person. It can be a person, but it can be a thing, right? Operating these DIDs, and this is also an anti-tracking thing, right? So you're able to create like multiple DIDs for any interaction, and this is, I mean, it's a very interesting feature, and I would like to see, if possible, on Hackathon, someone playing with this. As I said, everything is open source. Let's make something together. Thank you. Questions? He was ready. I mean, I know he was ready. He was here first, yes, sitting before everything started.
Preparing.
Hit me.
So, do you have plans also to build hardware like the orb, so you can also scan our retinas and help enslave us all?
There are other people doing already that, right? No, we are not into hardware business, but I want to highlight something, and thank you for the question, because I mean it opens a very sensitive topic like biometrics, immutability, blockchain. We need to be very careful with the things that we do, right? Because we are not storing proofs on chain. And I was talking yesterday with some people, and they asked me like, why? Because this is cryptography that is safe today. 5, 10, whatever, n years from now, who knows? And if it's there in the blockchain, it's there in the blockchain. And this particularly goes for biometrics. I would feel personally like this is like a red line that I won't cross. Like putting my biometrics on chain, but I mean there is, you know, you can change your fingerprint. You can even have, you know, like a plastic surgery. You can do like you can replace your iris even. But imagine if tomorrow somebody has an idea to put the DNA on blockchain. Then what? End game. So no, we are not doing this. More questions? No, everyone is keen for that coffee. So thank you again, and thank you all for being here. And yeah, let's make something together.
We'll have a small break.